So welcome to Scam of the Week, the nation's highest award. Who will get the Scam of the Week today? Sorry we're a bit late. I've had a few things on, but the array of scams is scintillating, so I'm sure you'll enjoy it. What about good old Steve Price, the Murdoch foghorn this week, coming out and backing Tony Abbott, calling for a return of the Mad Monk. He used to be my local member. I'm not sure he'd get through Zali. They'd have to put him in another seat. But anyway, they're getting desperate, aren't they? The old libs, getting very desperate. Not a lot of talent there. So Tony is back in the debate. He's back in the picture. They've got to do something. They're in a bit of a pickle. But David Pocock being chucked out of the Parliamentary Sports Club. Now that is gold.
Something most people probably don't know is that every morning when Parliament is sitting, members and senators from all sides of politics play different sports together early in the morning before Parliament starts. This has all been organised by something called the Parliamentary Sports Club. They let everyone know when things are on and bring along equipment like balls and cones to mark the outline of the field. But I was shocked to learn that the club also takes money from big businesses in return for access to morning sports and in turn the politicians and their staff that participate. As a result, the Parliamentary Sports Club has been registered on the lobbying register for many years. After raising concerns about this privately and also publicly, the club has decided not to tell these lobbyists that they can't come, not to stop taking money from companies and rather focus on what sport is and can be about here at Parliament. But instead, they've kicked me out of the club. They've told me that I can't be a member and am not welcome to attend fixtures operated by the club.
David Pocock, a former captain of the Wallabies, the rugby union team, Australia's rugby union team, being chucked out of the Parliamentary Sports Club because the gambling sponsors, the gambling lobby, didn't like it. Because he wants to bring in the TV gambling ad reforms that the government promised it would bring in 4 years ago, which it has not brought in, along with the arts funding, streaming quotas and all that sort of stuff. Yes, David Pocock is putting the government under pressure over the gambling lobby, and so they ban him from joining up with a few guys doing squats and crunches on the parliamentary lawn in the morning. This is a club, mind you, which even has its own chief executive. Why would a sports club with a few people in it have a chief executive officer? Why would they have a CEO? It's nonsense. This is corporatocracy gone mad. Lobbyland. There it is. Lobbyland. That is the capital of Australia. If you look at it on a map, there's lobby groups all dotted around Parliament House. They're up there in Maisie's Cafe, mingling, canoodling with the politicians and their staffers. It is truly Lobbyland. I mean, frankly, this man is a real nuisance. Here he was, questioning Donny Farrell from the government, in the wake of Albo's attack on transparency, his FOI reforms.
Why is your government going against the advice of the Royal Commission and making it harder to get documents that clearly, with the vision of hindsight, is in the public interest and actually in the government's interest at the end of the day?
Sorry, was that question directed to me? I thought it was to the officials.
It was to you.
Okay, would you mind repeating it?
I'll move on and put it on notice.
The anti-transparency reforms they're trying to shove through with the backing of the Liberals, and Liberals don't know what they're doing, so we haven't heard from them yet. They might, because they're going to be in the wilderness in electoral Siberia for another 6 years, who knows. But Don was spectacular, Don Farrell, when asked by David Shoebridge what the government would do about returning IDF soldiers who had been involved in the genocide in Gaza. And this is what Don had to say.
Will your government take steps, Minister, to stop Australians fighting inside the Israeli Defence Force in circumstances where the UN independent commission has found that the Israeli Defence Force's actions inside Gaza amount to genocide and the intent to destroy in whole or in part Palestinians in the
Senator
Gaza Strip.
Shoebridge.
Will you take any action?
Senator Shoebridge, if our wish comes to pass, namely that peace comes to the Middle East, that Israel and Palestine resolve their issues, then your point becomes moot. There is no longer any war in the Middle East. There is nothing for soldiers to do, Australian citizens to join military forces.
If peace comes to the Middle East, then your point becomes moot. It's like peace coming to Germany in 1945. No Nuremberg trials, just moot. Let's just get on with it now. Forget all those Nazis. You know, here we are. You can rape, torture, murder, burn babies alive in tents, and just pack up your rifle and go home. Donnie reckons. No reckoning. No Nuremberg. So, yes, peace in the Middle East, brokered by the Donald. That was probably the global news of the week. And the react here was very interesting. Will it hold? Well, this guy's on a rampage, Netanyahu, and he's still around. So Israel is a rogue state. It's out of control. They've broken more ceasefires, broken more international laws than anybody over the past, since they've been a state, 78 years. So the chance of them honouring this ceasefire is very, very small. And I reckon probably, who knows, Iran will probably be the next one. They're talking about Iran again. Penny will be deeply concerned when they bomb Iran, but supportive nonetheless. So it's all about lobbyists. The Zionist lobby, everyone's scared of them. The sports, the gambling lobby, Creative Australia, housing reform, you name it. If there's a lobby group, the government just goes to water, just can't do anything. And Michelle Bullock, the Reserve Bank governor, emerged this week, because we'll have to give the government thumbs up for their management of the economy, at least like the other mob. They are competent. If weak, they're competent. That's the basic difference between Labor and the Libs. Incompetence. They're not that far apart on policy. So Michelle Bullock emerged and confirmed that, rates were down, inflation was down, and so we're now seeing real growth. We're seeing growth in real wages. She was unequivocal. She said, so they have recovered real wages, real disposable household income since COVID. So there you go. And here's an exchange which sort of highlights how the Libs and the Nats have gone to ground on their economic management credentials for the past couple of years.
Are you saying that you make decisions in isolation of what the deficit is, or are you mindful of the impact the decisions have on the deficit?
We are always mindful of our budget position, which is why it is better than yours, and is why our election budget position was better than yours.
Jimmy Chalmers, they're scared of getting a shellacking from Jimmy Chalmers in Parliament. 158 days, said Jim, since the Deputy Treasurer, Teddy O'Brien, had asked him a question, asked him anything about the Australian economy. No.
158 questions since the member for Fairfax asked me anything about the economy.
Order. Members on my right, the manager is entitled to raise a point of order.
Mr. Treasurer is not being relevant, and just hold your horses.
Culture wars from beginning to end. It's all about identity politics and culture wars and distractions. That's what it's about. Not the economy, not the old economy, because of course, relative performance of the Labor Party has been superior. If they haven't done anything major in terms of significant reform, they certainly have managed the economy quite well. Now, there were a few other good ones. Barbara Pocock, we thought, was fantastic, the senator, asking somebody in Senate estimates why Deloitte had charged $440,000 for an independent report for a government department with made-up quotes from a federal court judgment. Who makes up quotes from a federal court judgment? And with a spate of little fake references in the report as well. Thank you, Deloitte, for that beautiful piece of $500,000 work for government. What have they done? They put it through AI. Of course, it doesn't cost anything to put it through AI. So that was a good one. That was a good little scam by Deloitte. Now, terrible news this week. David McBride. What is the scam with the High Court? David McBride, the Afghan war crimes whistleblower, had his appeal refused to the High Court. They knocked it on the head. He was going Nuremberg defence, so, that issue, that incredibly important issue of whether people have to obey the dictates of a commanding officer in the army or anywhere really, if those commands, those instructions are wrong. It's the Nuremberg defence. It's apparently too difficult, too touchy for the High Court to... we haven't seen what their reasons are yet, and we'll do something on that when we see them. But yeah, I mean, in principle, the guy's in 5 years or more in jail, while the guys who actually did the murdering in Afghanistan are rampaging around, having a good time. Not even pursued, not even investigated. And here's this guy, the whistleblower, in jail. That was an immense disappointment. Now, there was deathly silence. We did notice this week that there was a move on. It was announced, we saw it in the AFR. The government is considering a crackdown on family trusts and income splitting. On trusts, on the sacred trust, the sacred family trust. Oh no. Surprised, really, that they're having a go at this because they've all got trusts themselves, the politicians, as you do, because it's family trusts. They won't be going anywhere on that one, mark my words. They're not going to go after trusts. But anyway, the mainstream media is saying that they will. So anyway, it's all about family. That's why they can't go after trusts, because of families. Rex Patrick, our intrepid transparency warrior here at Michael West Media, he got the scoop this week that the government had spent $600,000 for paying expensive lawyers to stop public information about what they are doing with our public money in regards of Snowy Hydro, the electricity scheme, and the cost blowouts. Yes, they're spending money stopping Rex seeing the detail about costs. They're spending money on lawyers to stop public information flowing. Because Snowy, of course, the cost has gone from $2 billion to now, according to Ted Woodley, who should know, being an electricity expert, he's written for us, Ted, a couple of times, to $25 billion. So $2 billion to $25 billion, and they're paying lawyers on top to stop this outrageous information getting out about how the government is spending our money. There you go. That's what Rex is up against. Appealing, taking things to court, to the Australian Review Tribunal, the ART, which used to be the AAT before they gutted it and made it the same thing. Defence. Now, Peter Cronauer, Declassified Australia, good scoop. Again, they're doing a good job over there, Declassified Australia. It was revealed that the Department of Defence somehow managed to lose information relating to the Australian sale of F-35 weapons parts to Israel to help along with the genocide. They lost them. They lost this sacred detail. Slipped down the back of the couch, it did, just like the TV remote. Sorry, we lost it. Well, there you go. Stephanie Foster, the big bureaucrat, she's almost on $1 million a year. Stephanie, she's back in the limelight. The winker who likes to wink at the politicians. She was asked about her failure to produce questions on notice, and so she said that she would ask her questions on notice team about the question on notice in question.
You said that you'd take it on notice and provide an explanation on notice about why you had on notice referred to other questions on notice and answers to other questions on notice that hadn't been given. Question on notice 5 and 6 from the last estimates hearings.
And I'll ask my questions on notice team if they could give me the status of that question.
So you're taking on notice your failure to answer on notice, questions I asked you on notice about questions that you responded on notice to answers you hadn't given on notice. Is that what's happening?
And that's a reminder, actually. That is a reminder that the Department of Parliamentary Services, which likes to sort of employ people that run around suing people, got a penchant, the Department of Parliamentary Services, the DPS, for not answering questions on notice for months. When it does answer questions on notice, it doesn't give proper answers to the questions on notice. Somebody has to go down for contempt about this. It's contempt of Parliament to refuse to cooperate with politicians asking for the provision of information. It's quite simple. Anyway, there's a cover-up going on there. It's still going in DPS. We'll do some more on that soon. But they put it off for months, the stuff that they've been asked to produce. Now, who's in charge of that? Senator Sue Lines. Yes, the leader of the government in the Senate. Senator Sue Lines. This is your department, Sue. As leader of the government of the Senate, it is a shambles. They are not cooperating, nor are you cooperating with your own Senate. Seriously. So, Sue, congratulations. You managed to share the gong this week for Scam of the Week with the inimitable mobile phone practitioner, Donnie Farrell. Congratulations. Come on down. Scam of the Week. Please like, share and comment in the section below. Look forward to some strong content this week on YouTube. And we've got to give thanks to Ian Melrose from Island Optical and the Optical Superstore, who are our silver sponsors for this video.